Hello, this is Francis from McCaffrey Crafts and just having a cup of tea here. And I got a message on Instagram from a guy called Ido, and he wanted to interview me. So he sent me a bunch of questions, and considering I prefer talking over typing, I thought I would make a video instead, and maybe you guys might find it useful as well. So I have 10 questions here, and I'll kind of run through them. And Ido, I hope this will help you on your web project. I understand he is interviewing a bunch of crafters and he's putting together a website on this. So, sorry, forgive me for drinking tea. This is usually what I do at this time of night. It's about 11:30 p.m. here in Ireland. And first question is a very common question that I get is, what is a shillelagh? A shillelagh is referred to as, usually in Ireland, it means the shorter stick. And it is a stick usually made from blackthorn. It has been made from oak as well, and from holly and from ash and a few other woods. But within Ireland, like, a shillelagh refers to the shorter sticks, which are usually like maybe 18 to 20 inches in length. And they usually are very common. They have like a knob type of handle as well. So this is kind of like what a shillelagh looks like. And also people call the shillelagh the longer sticks, which are walking sticks. So in America, it's quite common that the term is used interchangeably, because some people refer to the shillelagh as a long stick. Some people refer to it as the short, but the kind of common trait is that it usually has a kind of like a knob handle, and it is made from blackthorn wood. Blackthorn is a dense, heavy wood that is very predominant in Ireland. The shillelagh is a heritage product of Ireland. It's something that has been given to many foreign dignitaries who visit Ireland. So, say for example, if an American president would visit, he would be presented with an Irish shillelagh as well. So it's something that is a symbol of Ireland. It's a heritage product, and it's something that I'm very, very proud to carry on this traditional Irish craft. Okay, question 2 is, can you describe the history and significance of the shillelagh in Irish culture? Yes, the shillelagh was popularized a lot in Irish culture in the 1800s, predominantly because of the faction fighting. Faction fighting was something that occurred on market days in many Irish rural towns, where two families who had some maybe grievance over the years, and these grievances were generational, they would have these fights on fair days, where one group of the family would gather on one side, another group of a family would group on the other side, and they would shout insults at each other, they would mock and tease, and then a big fight would happen, and they would use, the shillelaghs as well. So it kind of really started in significance and popularity in like the 1800s. In 1805 in Tipperary is seen as the kind of birth of the faction fighting. But there are a lot of historical references to shillelaghs being part of Irish culture before that. I know in a church in, I think it's in Kilkenny or Kildare, I think it's Kilkenny, they have a picture, like a little sculpture of a guy holding a shillelagh as well. So it has been quite popular in Irish culture over the years, but because it's associated with violence and fighting, that they don't really promote the history of this in Irish schools or the educational system. It's usually been demonized as, a part of Irish culture that they don't want to talk about. But, history, as we all know, it's not pretty. There's good points, there's bad points, there's different things. So I just believe that it should be, it should be taught and taught to people as well. Question 3 is, how did you become interested in making shillelaghs? Easy. My dad was a carpenter by trade. He made shillelaghs. My grandfather was also a shillelagh maker, and I understood my great-grandfather and my great-great-grandfather were involved in it as well. So I only know that there's been about 5 generations of us making shillelaghs, and my family tradition is always to do with entrepreneurs and crafting and making things. So a lot of when I was young, this was kind of shown to me as well. So I used to play a game with my grandfather when he would come back from cutting shillelaghs, and he would have a lot of the blackthorns in his hand, because with this particular wood, it has very long thorns and they can be quite dangerous. If you don't get the thorns out of your hand, it can cause a lot of problems because they have some poison in the fungus. So they would, I would have a little tweezers and I would have to remove the thorns from his hand. So that's one of my earliest memories of this as well. And yeah, I was just always interested in that. Then I got interested in the history, the culture of it. I read a few books by John Hurley. I read a book by Patrick O'Donnell on it. And the faction fighting, I couldn't believe this existed. And I was like shocked that, there was no stories. I was like, this is amazing. Like, it's such, these battles between families were quite interesting. Question 4, can you walk us through the different stages of making a shillelagh? Yeah. Maybe all these questions need their own videos. Okay, the first stage is sourcing the wood. So in winter time is the only time you can harvest the blackthorn wood. Usually between, say, late October to early November, up until about the end of February is the cutting season. And you have to go out, you have to cut the wood. Usually I have to get permission from the farmers as well, because it is very hard to access and only grows in certain areas. And it's a very rare wood because this particular wood, it grows like an S shape. It grows up and down in different ways. So you need to find particularly overgrown hedges where there's a piece long enough that you can make a nice stick with as well. So stage 1 is sourcing the wood. Then you have to season the wood for about 2 to 3 years. Like, say for example, blackthorn is a dense, heavy wood with a very tight wood grain. So it takes a long time for it to season. Season means when the wood hardens. Now, with blackthorn, you do not straighten the wood. Sometimes there's little bends in it as well. So you usually have to wait for it to fully season and be hard before you heat up the wood, and then you can bend it into shape. Usually you need quite a lot of force, so I would use different apparatus and carjacks and different things and vices to try to hold it in after I heat it up as well. So then after you straighten the wood, you would get into carving the handle. So usually I would shape it out with a handsaw. I try to stay away from bandsaws and different things as well, and try to use as many hand tools as possible. It's just the way I work. I kind of like that as well. I don't like bandsaws and the dust and noise, and too many guys I know have lost fingers with too many electrical saws. So then we would shape out the handle, which me and sometimes my dad would do some of the finishing on the stick as well, and teaching my son to get involved in the business also. And then after I would shape the handle, I would use a Shinto Japanese rasp to give it a bit more shape and take out a few of the hard edges. Then lots of sandpaper, lots and lots of sandpaper. You start with very coarse sandpaper, like 60, 80, 120 and 240, and you kind of go down as well. Then I would add some sealers and maybe sanding sealer, and then I would finish it in many different ways. The finish that I use really depends on the look I'm trying to do. It depends on the wood, depends on if it has a wood grain, it depends on the bark. So I use a variety of finishes as well. Okay, let's see. Question 5. Are there any traditional methods or techniques you employ in your craft as well? Yes, of course, all my methods would be the traditional methods of stick making and Irish stick making. So I would, carve out the handles based on a one piece of wood. So I do not attach the handle. So traditionally, one piece of wood was used. I know modern stick makers like to have 2 pieces of wood and stick them together, but you can see that is one piece of wood. So that is a very traditional method. There's not a lot of information on there, and there's a lot of urban myths about the traditions of stick making and sticking it up a chimney and putting butter and putting it into a pile of horse dung and manure and different things as well, and adding grease and butter to it. And there's all different reports as well. So I would use the methods that my father taught me and his grandfather taught me, and how to shape the stick, how to finish it as well, the use of blackening the stick as well. Like sometimes you would use shoe polish traditionally, but nowadays shoe polish will come off onto your clothes and to different things. So you have to adapt it to be into a modern product that's, it is, say for example, like usually traditionally you would never put a ferrule at the bottom of the stick, but I include rubber ferrules now because they're we have concrete modern payments and different things like that. So yeah, I would use a lot of methods that have been passed down through my family, especially from my dad. He's a carpenter by trade. He taught me everything I knew about stick making. Let's see now, that's the next question, question 6. How long does it typically take to make a shillelagh from start to finish? 3 years. The longest part, of course, is making the wood seasoned. So after you cut it, you have to wait 2 or 3 years. But once I get a seasoned piece of wood, within a week, I have the stick made. I can straighten it, shape it, put a few different finishes on it. And usually I'm working on like 20 or 30 sticks at a time, because there's usually like small tasks, like, might take 5-10 minutes to do one bit, then 10 minutes, and then I'm constantly moving between sticks because I have to make this into a business as well. 7, do you create custom shillelaghs for your client? The way I like to run my business is that I make sticks that I like based on the wood that I have. I find that if you go into making custom sticks for clients, it's very time consuming, and it's very hard to have a business model where you're constantly doing custom sticks as well. If you get into custom sticks making as a business model, you usually have to charge about $800 to $1,000 per stick, but I like to make sticks within the $100 to $150 kind of range, and this is the kind of range which it does very well for me. So I try not to get into the custom. So what I know from experience, I'm making sticks since 2007, so now it's 2024. What's that, 16 years? So over 16 years I know what people like. I know the handles they like. I know all the different varieties of sticks that people like. So I make sticks that I like, and that's my passion, and I have my own style, and I make a rustic style. And I feel that you always have to be authentic to yourself. If you listen to people, oh, I want this, I saw this in a movie, I want that, I want this attached to it, I want, if you're going in the wrong direction as a stick maker if you go that route. For me, I think you find a style that you like, and you keep doing sticks that I like and I enjoy. And I find that's a better way to work as well. Let's see, number 8. Are there any specific designs or styles that you specialize in? Well, of course, the Irish style of stick making. I do make a lot of knob sticks, which are these particular type of sticks. This is kind of like the most common style within, but there are many different handle types within Irish stick making that I do specialize in as well. And it just really depends on the customer's needs, because like sometimes people want a hiking stick, some people want a stick that they've just come out of surgery, some want sticks like a T-shaped stick or an L-shaped as well. Sometimes people want 2 sticks, like to get up and get down. So usually I create a variety of sticks that tick off the box for all the styles that people do want for as well. Question 9. How do you ensure the quality and durability of your shillelaghs? This is really on harvesting the wood. You have to be able to find quality pieces that are going to be durable as well. During the straightening process, you're using vices, you're using car jacks, you're putting a lot of pressure on the wood. So you can check the durability very easily as you are straightening the pieces of wood. And during the process, you can tell by the weight as well of the wood and the quality of it's going to be. Usually about 5 to 10% of wood that you cut during harvesting, it's not really up to the standard of making a stick. So, you always have to be aware of that as well. And question 10 is, do you sell globally? Yes, I've been selling globally now for many years. Since 2008 or 9, I've been selling globally. I have a website, McCaffreyCrafts.com. I have 3-day worldwide shipping with UPS or DHL. So if you are in Australia, I can send it to you within a week. If you're in America, I can send it to you. If you're in France and Germany, I can send it to you. If you're anywhere in the world, I've sent to Saudi Arabia, I've sent to Japan, I've sent to Brazil, loads of different places. So I use international couriers. So if your area is covered by DHL or UPS, I can send it to you. And I usually charge everyone a flat rate worldwide of $39. Now, of course, it costs a lot more to ship that, but I usually absorb the cost of that so that I can continue to give value to my customers. And one thing that I think is important is you do have to ship very quickly and try to get your product as quickly as possible, because, you know, sometimes people are coming out of surgery and different things, and they really need a walking stick. So anyway, thank you for those questions, Ido. I hope that's okay. If you have any follow-ups or want any more information, you can always reach out to me, and I look forward to seeing the final complete project of your website as well. Thank you. Bye-bye.